Hello everybody, in this new tutorial of Angular 8 and the ASP.NET Core. So today we'll learn together how to make a login form. So in the sign up component, let's paste the content of sign up, and here we need to change the form group to the sign in form. Let's change the card title to sign in, and here we need to delete the first name and the last name fields. So let's select all this and delete. Let's navigate to the button, and we need to delete the mobile number field also. So finally here we changed the button label to sign in. Now we need to change the sign up data getter to the sign in data, so we don't make it one by one. So let's run replace command, so we can write sign in data, and let's replace all the occurrence here. That's nice. So now the idea is to create a new model called login model. We only use it for the login form, so it's contain two properties, the email and the password. So in order to do this, let's navigate to the terminal tab, and we need to navigate under the model folder, so cd src app/models, and here let's run the command ng generate class, and the class will be login model. Tap the enter key. So here our login model was created. Let's navigate to it and add our two properties. So here we have email, type of string, and password, type of string. And the sign in component, so here we need to close the other file, we don't need it. Let's navigate to the sign in component TypeScript file, and first of all we'll begin by importing some so here we need angular/form, and here we add form builder, the form group, and validators. Adding our sign in form object, type of form group, and we need to add also isLoading property initialized to false. So the isLoading property is used in order to lock the sign in button when user make a request, in order to prevent duplicated requests. That's great. So in the constructor we need to inject the form builder like a service, and in the ng on init hooks we need to initialize our sign in form. So this dot sign in form. It's equal to this dot form builder dot group, and here like the last time we need to initialize our validator. We need to initialize our property with validator. So the email here is initialized to empty string, and the validation is, we have two validation. So validator.email, the user must put a valid address email, and it's required. For the password, we need only to make it required. We don't need to put validation on length in order to prevent hackers to know the minimum of password, and it's for security reason. Yes, that's great. Finally, we need to add the getter, and it will be get sign in form data, and return this dot sign in form dot controls. Nice. Now we create the onSubmit method when the user click on the sign in button. So first of all, we need to check if the form is valid, and we don't have a current sign in request. So if the sign in form is valid, or this dot is loading, it's equal to true. So here we need to make return. We stop the treatment here. Else this dot is loading, we have a new request of sign in, so the is loading is equal to true. And now let's add some comment. We need to call user service for login. So let's navigate to the user service and add a new method called login. So this method take as a parameter a login model, and it will return normally a user model. So here we need to add a new import called the type of login model. So it's under login model, type of login model class, and let's add a new parameter called login model type of login model class, and let's return this .http client .post. So I'll make the return type will be login model at the moment, and let's add the parameters for this post. So it will be the base URL /login, and we need the login model, and finally we add the HTTP options. So I think the dollar symbol, it will be exactly here. Yeah, that's nice. So let's return to the sign in component TypeScript file, and let's import the user service. And let's inject it in the constructor like a private service. So private user service type of user service. And in the onSubmit, let's call this service in order to make login. This dot user service dot login, and here we pass this dot sign in form dot value, and let's subscribe to this login method. So we need to make, when we have a result of this login method, so we have a success authentication, a success login, so we need to make this dot login it's equal to false, and here let's add a comment, redirect the user to the home page. It's normal when you log in, redirect to the landing page, and here in order to make the redirection we need to import angular/router, and we will use the router class, angular/router, yeah, and here it will be the router class. Eventually we need to inject this router like dependency in the constructor, so let's add private router type of router class, and here we need to make this dot router dot navigate, this dot router dot navigate, and here we need to put the path to the home page. So let's make /home, and finally if we have an error we need to make is loading it's equal to false at the moment, so we use a label called variable called error, and let's initialize is loading to false. So the user tapped a wrong incorrect login password, we need to reactivate the sign in button. Now let's navigate to the app routing model.ts file, and let's add a new path called home. So here we don't have the home component, so let's create a new component called home. Let's navigate to the terminal tab and run the ng generate component, and the component will be home. Yeah, let's press the enter key, and here we have our home component was created. So finally here we need to import this home component in order to use the home component class. And here we change the signing component to the home component. So let's make some change in the navigation bar. We need to add a new menu item called home. At the moment we'll show this home item menu item even if the user are not isn't logged. So in the next tutorial she have to make the authentication with token and how we manage the visibility of items, switch, write. So here let's change the router link to home and change the label to home. That's great. Now let's navigate to the web API and add a new action in the user's controller called login, and in the HTTP post attribute let's add a name for this login action. Let's say /login, and now we need to create a new model for the web API. Let's add a new class called login model, and like in the Angular project we need to add two properties, email and password type of string. So let's make this class public and add a new property type of string called email. And the second one is password type of email. That's great. So let's make some changes here. We'll return user model at the moment, and the parameter it will be login model, and let's rename it to login model. So let's change this method to login. So really, in fact, we don't have the login method in the manager, so we need to generate it in the interface. Here we have the prototype of this method, so let's implement it in the user manager. So here we'll make a get user by email and password via user repository. So user repository dot get when the login is matched with an item in the database. So here we have x.email is equal to login model.email, and x.password is equal to login model.password. So the next tutorial you see how to make this password more secure. So we use some make this password encrypted. And finally, let's say single or default. So for security reason, we need to return user model without password. So in order to do this, we need to add user model extensions class. It's a static class in order to add a method extension. So here let's add the first method called without password. It's taking parameters enumerable of user model and return enumerable of user model. So the parameters here. So in order to make extension method, we need to use this before the object, and let's return. So here we need to make another method for user model object only without enumerable. So public static user model called without password, and it's take user model class type, and in this method we need to affect the password to null and return the object. So let's make user model.password is equal to null, and finally we return this object. So here we need to return user.select. We'll make projection here for each user in the collection. Let's make X dot without password. It seems good. Let's return to the manager, and here we need to use a variable called user, var user equal to the result of this link query. So if the user is different from null, we return this user, else we return null. So here we return the user without password, else we return null. And in the user controller, we need to check this user. So here we need to create a variable var user equal to user manager.login method result, and here if the user is null, we need to return a bad request with a message. So if the user is equal to null, let's return a bad request, so we can return resource not found request, not found request. So here we need to make anonymous object. It have a message property. Let's make login or password is invalid or is incorrect, else we return the user. So else we return OK of user. So we need to change the type result of this login action to action result, and here finally we return the OK of user. That's very nice. So here let's run this web API, and on the other side let's run the Node.js server. We have an error here, so we delete this import. And I think it will be good. So let's navigate to the browser and let's navigate to the sign in, and let's try the validation. First of all, that's not working. I think, yeah, we need to change the getter to sign in data and the sign in component.ts. Yeah, that's worked correctly here. So we need to put a valid address email, and let's make a breakpoint here. Let's click on the sign in and it doesn't work, so we need to change the name to, we need to delete the slash. So the post name, it will be login only. Let's run the web API and test again. So let's put a password and click on sign in, and yeah, that's worked correctly. So here we see the email and the password, so that's worked correctly. Now we need to show a message error if the login and password is not correct. So let's add a new div that contains span, which is the error message. So here let's delete the ng if we don't need it, and let's change the message to email or password is incorrect. And in the parent div we need to use the hidden directive binded to show error. So here we need to add show error property and change the ng if to a hidden. That's nice. Let's navigate to the sign in component, and we add the show error property, and in the error section here we need to initialize to true if we have an error. And let's test. Yeah, that's worked correctly. Very nice. So we need to add just a CSS class here, alert, to make it more beautiful, the message. And here normally it will work. Yeah, so that's all for today. Thank you very much. See you on the next tutorial.